Alrighty, so the math dealer here, and today I'm going to find derivatives from a table of values. I know, super excited. Okay, so just to kind of try to make sure I keep this whole video relatively short, what I've already done is I wrote down all the different rules that I will be referring to with these 6 examples. Okay, so I'm going to be using this table, I'm going to be answering these questions, and of course I'm using these rules. Okay, so for starters, let me just make a disclaimer here, is that these functions are differentiable functions, meaning, yep, they all have derivatives. Okay, so let's go with A. So A is saying, look, h of x is equal to a sum of 2 functions. All right, so now they're asking you to find h prime of 2. Now, what you have to remember to do first is actually find the derivative. So I'm going to find the derivative. Remember, the derivative of a sum is the sum of those derivatives. So now when I plug in my 2, I have f prime of 2 plus g prime of 2. Now, this is what might be causing some people some little troubles. F prime of 2, remember, to find that value, I find the intersection of the row and column that both of those numbers are in. All right, and I get -1. Not too bad. So g prime of 2, yep, 3/2. And then, of course, when I add these two together, I get 1/2. Okay, so I'm hoping that that is helpful to those that have been struggling with these table problems. All right, next one. H of x is equal to f of x minus g of x. All right, so first find the derivative. Find the derivative first, then plug in the number. I cannot stress that enough. Okay, so you have to find the derivative first. Now, when I plug in the 3, again, you're just looking. All right. Oops, didn't mean to scribble on that. I gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. So here we go. F prime of 3. Follow the intersection. You get -1 minus G prime of 3. Again, follow the intersection. You get 1. So when you subtract those two, you get -2. Or add those two, I should say. -1 plus -1 is a -2. All right. Here we go. Let's look at C. Okay, so C all of a sudden brings out the product rule. Okay, so like I said, if you need to pause the video, go ahead and pause it now. All right, jot this example down, do what you got to do. Okay, all right, so welcome back if you paused it. All right, so here we go. F of x times g of x, right? Derivative of the first times the second plus the derivative of the second, wait for it, yep, times the first. I know, super exciting. Now we're finding h prime of 4 because that's what it asked me for. So I'm going to find f prime of 4. Then I'm going to find g of 4. I'll multiply those two together. Then I get g prime of 4 and f of 4, and I'll multiply those two together, okay? So go to your table now. And now instead of the 3's, we're looking at the 4's. So this is the column we're looking at. So there's f prime of 4, right? There's g prime of 4, and so forth. So f prime of 4, like I said from the table, is -1. G of 4. Now go to my g 4, where do they intersect? Yep, 5. Don't ask me why I went to black there, but that's okay. G prime of 4 gives me 1. And then, of course, f of 4, just staying with the theme, f of 4 is 2. So here we go. -5 plus 2, yep, -3. All right, so go ahead and pause the video if you have to, because I'm getting ready to erase this board. I know, right? Just trying to make sure we have enough space, because now we got to kick out D and E. Look, I'll even leave C up there in case you're just like writing that down. Okay, here we go. That's the beauty of these things, right? You can just go ahead and pause them. Sorry about that. So, having a little trouble with that one. Here we go. There we go. D. So I'm given h of x is equal to f of x over, right? Now I have a quotient, right? F of x divided by g of x, all right? So that's when I have to do the quotient rule. So if you watch that video on quotient rule, you know you take your denominator, you throw it in the bottom, you square it, you throw it back up top so you don't forget about it. And you take the derivative of the top minus the derivative of the bottom, yep, times the top, okay? Some people refer this as high D low minus low D high over low low. Whatever you do, just know it. So h prime of 2, so I have to find g of 2. I have to find f prime of 2 minus g prime of 2 times f of 2. The whole thing is over, yep, g of 2 squared. So here we go, g of 2. Now again, go to your table, g of 2, find their intersection, gives me 3. Okay, f prime of 2, yep, find their intersection, it gives me -1. Minus g prime of 2, find those intersection, gives me 3/2. And then, of course, f of 2, find that, gives me 4. I love it when we can simplify those fractions. I know you're excited too. G of 2, of course, is 3. We already said that. And we're going to square it. Now, just cleaning up just a smidgen gives me negative 3. Now, when I multiply 3 halves times 2, yeah, I get 6. Hopefully you remember that. Sitting over 9. So I get negative 9 over 9, which, oh, by the way, is negative 1. I know, crazy fun. Alrighty, so now I am literally going to pause this video, okay? Okay, so we're back. All right, so I paused that video just because now we're going to look at these next two examples, all right? They're going to require just a little bit more work, okay? So I really hope I didn't pause it too fast before you were able to write those down, but hopefully you are good to go. All right, so let's look at E. All right, so now I'm going to do the power rule with a chain rule. So I'm trying to find the derivative of f of x squared, okay? So that means that if h of x is equal to f of x, quantity squared. What you have to remember here is you do have a power rule, but you also have a chain rule. So the 2 comes down in front. Yes, right? Preserve the base. That's what that's saying over there, right? To a new power of n minus 1, which is 1, times f prime of 1. Excuse me, f prime of x, okay? Now, go to your tape. If I'm trying to find h prime of 2, I go 2 times f of 2, right? Times f prime of 2. Just remember, please, that this is just a 1. It's not a prime. Okay, so if I have 2 times f of 2, well, f of 2, if you look at your table, of course, is 4. F prime of 2 is negative 1. So now when you kick all these out, by the way, you get negative 8. All right, so hopefully that's a good one. Now look at F. F is like an in-depth chain rule, all in action, and that's why I wrote this one right here, okay? So here we go. If I have h of x is equal to the composition of two functions, that means that h prime is the derivative of the outer with the inner inside, of course, times the derivative of the inner, okay? So when I go to find h prime of 6, I get f prime of g of 6. Look at that, times g prime of 6. Because remember, what we're doing is we got to plug 6 everywhere you see an x, okay? So here we are, g of 6, all right? We'll go to your table, g of 6, woo, it's way down there, it's 4. So that means that I have to find f prime of 4. And then, of course, g prime of 6, well, that's just the number negative 2. So I still have to figure out what f prime of 4 is. Go to your table, f prime of 4, yep, negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 2. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. There's your 2. All right. So, like I said, feel free to rewind this video, pause it, do what you got to do. But hopefully, we have now conquered derivatives using a table. All right. So, this is the Math Dealer signing out.